Good evening guys, and welcome to today's Football Manager video. Now if you can't tell by the interface or the skin, we've went back to Football Manager 2012 where we start on the 5th of July in 2011. The reason for this is to keep my YouTube channel ticking over and go back to the game that I class as the best one to have ever been brought out throughout the Football Manager, Sports Interactive and every other series including Championship Manager, LMA Manager and any other manager game you can think of. This is by far my most favourite one and my most successful one. Now I'm going to do a couple of seasons with my beloved Newcastle United to keep my YouTube channel ticking over till approximately a week today when the FM16 beta comes out. So this should keep me involved in Football Manager, have a bit of fun, use players that might be cheaper back then than they are on the current game and on the new one, and use potentially former wonder kids that maybe fizzled out and they aren't as good as what they are on today's game. Now coming into the club, the new chairman Mike Ashley has signed me to a deal till 2013 on a 2-year contract on £20,000 per week. Now as we're only going to play a season or two, I've set Champions League qualification as the target for myself and the squad. We've only been given a budget of 3.42 million and an £800,000 per week budget on the wages. That leaves roughly £62,000 to spend on wages before we shifted players out, which is what we're going to try and do. And because it's only a season or two save, we're going to try and go all guns blazing, go for that Champions League spot, maybe even try and go for the title second season and see how well we can get on early on. This is just a bit of fun to keep me going until the FM16 beta comes out that I'm really excited for and looking forward to playing next week. Let's take you to the Newcastle United squad in 2011, see who they had, see the players they have, and I'll tell you about some of them, and we'll see who we'll look to bring in on the transfers a little bit later. So the goalkeepers, Tim Krul, only aged 23 on the game, with Steve Harper and Rob Elliott as backup, who have put both of them on the transfer list. Stephen Taylor, Danny Simpson, Dan Gosling and James Perch, Paul Dummett and Tomas Kedar, the latter four have just put in on the transfer list also. Fabrizio Colaccini, only 29, probably in his peak on the game, £80,000 per week though, but he's the captain of my club. Mike Williamson, the guy that nobody can say they like as a player in terms of football and ability at Newcastle United right now. The next one is Remy Street, who now currently plays for Port Vale. He was seen as a real talent by Alan Pardew in the early days of his managerial career at Newcastle, and this guy, he really is a decent player, but he got injured quite a bit. He ended up going on loan to Port Vale initially, I believe it was, then Rangers, then signed for Port Vale on a permanent deal recently. But as a 16-year-old, Alan Pardew had him training with the first team and even gave him a couple of bench appearances, including his first away to Arsenal in what I believe was a draw that game. And he was involved with England under-19s possibly, and he was also seen as the future of Newcastle United by Alan Pardew, but injuries kept on blighting him and he never quite got that first team chance he craved. Hopefully in the future he'll come back with Port Vale and show the real talent that he has. That's Remy Street, age 16 on the game, doesn't look great, and when I remember playing this game I actually thought he was better than shown in this picture. Now the next one for me, on this game, for me he was the best left back on the game in the entire planet. There was nobody that even came close to being as good as David Santon on this game. Only 20, so he'll be really decent at this level. Ryan Taylor, injured quite a bit in his Newcastle career, so probably never played as many games as he definitely should have. In the centre midfield we've got Johan Cabaye, pulling the strings, a great player. Picked him up on a bargain price for around £4 million, of course now at Crystal Palace. Chick Tiote, 25 also, but he's probably past his peak now in real life. He keeps getting niggling injuries, and when he comes back and plays, a bit of a liability when he gets cards so often. But in the early stages of around 2011, this was his peak, so hopefully he might do quite well for me. Sylvain Marveau, the next one, as well, always blighted by injuries and got loaned out last season. He's got 1 year left on his contract in real life, but is currently injured as well. Danny Guthrie, Mehdi Abid make up the next two. Jonas Gutierrez, probably in his prime at this point in time of the game before his illness struck and he was out of football for a while, currently now playing at Deportivo after saving Newcastle against West Ham on the last day of last season. Brad Inman, the Australian-cum-Scotsman, I believe he's represented both nationality teams at different levels. Hatem Ben Arfa, what a player. I had him on the back of three of my home Newcastle United tops. I absolutely love that guy, and it's great to see him doing well at Nice. Gabriel Obertan, you got to wonder, was he ever going to be any good? If Manchester United are not really going to use him, willing to sell him for so cheap, there's got to be backup and reasons to that. Peter Lovenkrands, bit of a fan's favourite, an older guy, 31, but he really is a hard-working player. Sami Amiobi, he is a young guy on the game. He's only aged 19. Demba Ba was a favourite of him. Good partnership with, down the list, Papi Cisse, who came in all guns blazing when he first started Newcastle United. Shola Amiobi, Leon Best, not great. Haris Vukic, the wonder kid on Football Manager that never quite made it in real life, currently on loan at Wigan in the last year of his contract at Newcastle. Nile Ranger, the bad boy, more interested in being a gangster than a footballer. Finally, Aaron Campbell, age 16, valued at 1.3 million on £55 per week. Now this guy, if you remember, I've screenshotted lots of posts on the Football Manager WizKids Facebook page about 4 years ago. This kid for me, on that 17-season career on FM12 with Newcastle, where I conquered Europe, I conquered the world, I conquered England, domestically and big title-wise. He was by then the England captain, scored about 60 goals in 100 plus appearances. He was my captain. He won the Player of the Year twice. He won the Ballon d'Or twice. He was in multiple Player of the Month, Player of the Week, Player of the Season teams. He was just unplayable. But what you have to do is really train him and tutor him hard. I trained him on finishing for 3 seasons, and it went from 9 to about 14, 15, and naturally it just blossomed and got all the way up to, I think it was 20 it actually got to. If it didn't, minimum 19. You got to exploit that acceleration and that pace. What you do, guys, if you're excited about a player age 16, do not loan him out. Make him available for the reserves for 45 minutes. Get him tutored all the time, whenever possible. Stick him on the bench, start him in cup games if you're feeling confident. If not, bring him off the bench for cup games and league games. And if you're winning, he could help and add to that, get more experience. Always have him basically training heavy, so he's really getting grinded into improving on certain attributes. But this guy became absolute world class. Now, once I wrap up this little mini series, which I'm only playing until Football Manager 2016 comes out, I'm going to show you 2 screenshots of him about 15, 16 seasons ahead and how good I made him become, because I've got those screenshots saved. But we'll see if I can make him become pretty good again. That's Aaron Campbell, the guy that became famous on Football Manager for being a wonder kid, and I believe I played a huge part in helping him become known to the Football Manager community. That's Aaron Campbell, the final one in the first team at Newcastle. So guys, over the next little period I'm going to work on a tactic, maybe tweak it a bit here and there in pre-season, where we're going to play 4 games and see what we need and if we can improve in any aspect or areas of the pitch after selling some players and see who we can bring in. So the 4 friendlies we're going to play against our feeder club Gateshead, Porto, Carlisle and Roma. And would you Adam and Eve it? The first game of the season, the derby at home to Sunderland. So I'm really excited and looking forward to playing that. Then we go to Manchester United, then play Fulham, Norwich, QPR, Villa, Blackburn, Arsenal and Everton. Now as you can see, I don't have any graphics, I don't have any faces, logos, kits or nothing. This game I re-downloaded from Steam, where I bought it from, just to play for a bit of fun. So I'm not going to imply all them kits, because then I would have to remove them and delete them, etc. And they're already in folders to play the new game. So I'm going to sort out my tactics, see if we can bring in a few players, try and sell a few, play the 4 friendlies, and I'll come back to you and discuss a little bit of tactics before the derby against Sunderland. Okay guys, so we're on the derby day, the first game of the season against Sunderland on Football Manager 2012. Now just before we get into the match, I'm going to show you the transfers that have been done and the sales that have been made so far in this season. So for a bold fee of £500,000 I needed a right midfielder because I wasn't comfortable using Gabriel Obertan, so I brought in this guy, the retired now David Bentley on loan, the England international from Tottenham. He was on the transfer list, but his wage was a little bit steep to bring in on a full transfer, so a loan deal for a season, he's come in and he should do quite well for me. Another loan deal sees a certain 18-year-old Paul Pogba, the now world-class Juventus centre midfielder, come in on loan from Manchester United from me. That determination is quite low considering how you look at him now and what he's become at this stage in his career. Comes in on loan from Manchester United for a season, quite cheap as well. And the final incoming from me is the 21-year-old former wonder kid, or still wonder kid if you count 21 as a wonder kid age, is Alan Jagoev from CSKA Moscow for 5 million. Hopefully him and Yohan Cabaye can either rotate together or play together in that central midfield, because I'm not playing an attacking midfielder, I'm playing a flat 4-4-2, but he's a good signing at £5 million. So we made quite a bit of money. The sales, 1 million for the ageing Steve Harper to Southampton. Shola Ameobi stole 2.5 million from Wolves. £800,000 sees Tamas Kedar go to Crystal Palace. Leon Best, I let my rivals, who I'm about to play, Sunderland, take him off my hands for 3.5 million. James Perch to Bolton for 2.7 million. And the unreliable, dreadful Mike Williamson makes his way to Wales, joins Cardiff in a £2 million deal. So tactically we've set up a 4-4-2 now. Guys, there's no fancy formations or certainly no fancy player roles. There's no even complete wing backs back in FM12. There is no inside forward rammed outer. So we've gone for the simple 2 full backs, Santon and Simpson, centre backs, Colaccini, Taylor, Tim Krul in goals, wide left, Jonas, wide right, David Bentley in centre midfield, deep line playmaker Yohan Cabaye, the ball winning midfielder Czech Coyote up front. We've gone with the target man Demba Ba and the poacher Papi Cisse. On the bench we've gone with Remy Street, Paul Dummett, Paul Pogba, Alan Jagoev, Silvan Marvo, Peter Lovenkrands for a bit of experience, and Adam Campbell. A few players injured, some away travelling on international duty such as Ameobi and Niall Ranger. The injured ones just coming back are Ryan Taylor, Shane Ferguson, Danny Guthrie. Out for another month or so is Hatem Ben Arfa. Now before we get into the game, I want to show you something that a lot of you have missed. A lot of you have missed using, but for me it's better that they're not there in the current game because it makes it a lot harder. But back then in FM12 we had the sliders, and this is how I'm setting up with my 4-4-2. Balanced philosophy, controlled strategy, shorter passing, more disciplined freedom, closing down press more, tackling default, my marking as my marking. I don't do zonal marking, never have, never will. Crossing and roaming as default. I want my defence to sit a little deeper, play very wide, tempo just above the middle mark, not too fast. I don't want the players getting out of fitness, out of breath pretty quick. Time wasting, not a lot. Mixed passing, no counter attack, no offside. Cabaye is my playmaker, Demba Ba is the target man, and a mixed supply to Demba Ba. Now because back in FM12 player instructions were not key in the game, we use them more now in FM15 and probably more so in FM16, but this is how I've set up Yohan Cabaye to play. Pull strings, dictate the play, and create everything for my wide players and my attackers. So the North East Derby is over, the first one of the season, and in a squad of Sunderland players that was lined up, led by Lord Bentner, see Newcastle take a 1-0 victory through a 48-second goal wonder strike from Yohan Cabaye in a second half that was largely dominated by the Mackhams. Newcastle scraped through 1-0 under the guidance and talked through the match from John Carver, the assistant manager. Pleased with this victory, glad to wrap up the end of episode 1. Hope you like it, hope you check it out and follow it up until next week when the FM16 beta comes out. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you again soon.